Hare Krishna, welcome everybody, and happy Janmashtami once more. In Vancouver, we still have Janmashtami. I think in India and Dubai, it's already over. Greetings. So today we continue the journey, the profound lessons of second chapter. And before we begin, I'll say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalake Chakshuru Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
Hare Krishna. So today we are going to cover slokas 2.14 to 2.18. So I will just play the slokas.
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्णसुखदुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्यास्तांस्ति तिक्षस्व भारत यं हि न व्यथयन्त्येते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभ समदुःखसुखं धीरं सोऽमृतत्वाय कल्पते नासतो विद्यते भावो नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः अविनाशि तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततम् विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति अन्तवन्त इमे देहा नित्यस्योक्ताः शरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत.
Okay, so let's continue this profound journey. A second chapter, as I said, is absolutely profound. And every session we hardly take 4 or 5 slokas, and still we consume at least an hour. So that's the depth of this chapter, and a lot of pearls of wisdom there. So in the previous slokas, Krishna had laid the foundation for Arjuna's spiritual awakening, if you remember. And we saw how there was an emphasis on the role of the Guru, the pursuit of self-realization, and understanding the eternal nature of the true self. I don't know if you all had an opportunity to try the meditation once more. If not, please do try it. I've shared the meditation separately. That's the Neti Who Am I meditation. So the more you do it, the more it will become internalized on what your true nature is. That's very important. And today also we will do something similar. So here in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, now we just discussed how the scene was heavy, and we had 2 great armies full of testosterone and full of bloodlust, and people screaming, and they're all ready to pounce on each other. And here is where we said how Krishna was smiling right in the middle of this battlefield. So this battlefield of Kurukshetra, as we discussed earlier, it's kind of a metaphor for the internal battle that we all face. And there is a Kurukshetra within us. There is a fierce battle happening within us almost all the time. And this is where Krishna's powerful, timeless lessons help us master our mind and master our perception to find that inner stability amidst all the chaos. Some of us, we are very blessed that we don't even realize how much of a battle is going on inside and around us. Sometimes we are just blissfully ignorant. That's why they say ignorance is bliss. But some of us who are more thoughtful, who like try to understand what's going on within us, what's going on around us, we are more aware of this battle which is going on. So there is a Kurukshetra. Everybody is carrying a Kurukshetra within them. And that is the reason why Krishna starts his profound teachings by emphasizing the need for realizing our true self, which will lead to a state of calmness and steadiness. What happens if we are not calm? What happens if we can't find that kind of steadiness? The same thing that happened to Arjuna will happen to us. Mental diarrhea, analysis paralysis. I cannot fight the battle. I'm going to run away. But running away is not an option. We can at the most run away from this life. but the joke is on us because we are again going to be born. The game is not over until we have understood the goal of the game and until we have transcended the barriers to self-realization. That is what this game is all about. So 2.14, I would request you to take a note and I would request you to try and maybe remember that sloka and maybe memorize it. It's one of the very powerful slokas in the Bhagavad Gita. Here Krishna says, Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agama payino anityaha tan titikshasva bharata. Very powerful sloka. He says, O son of Kunti, the contact between the senses and the sense objects gives rise to fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. These are not permanent, having a beginning and an end. So everyone should learn to tolerate them. Such divine insights coming here. So he's pretty much given the mechanism of suffering in that one sloka. So if you see that sloka, there he says Matra Sparsha. Matra Sparsha means the contact between our senses and the sense objects. For example, if there is a bright sun outside, that sunlight is hitting your skin and you feel some warmth. Now you feel, some of us may probably feel pleasure. Now that pleasure, what was the reason for that pleasure? There was contact of our senses, in this instance the skin, and the sense object, which was the sun's rays. When they came in contact with each other, we chose to feel pleasure. There are some people who have skin conditions or some, if some people, unless you are a vampire, then for you the same sunlight will not cause pleasure, it will cause pain. But Krishna says, regardless of whether it is pleasure or pain, the cause is always the same. It is the senses coming in contact with sense objects. So beautiful. There are these key terms used here. Agama payino. He says they come and go. And they are impermanent, anitya. So he's saying, just like how the clouds, they keep moving in the sky, just like that, there is a constant flow of senses coming in touch with sense objects and creating some experiences. But Krishna is saying that no matter what the experience is, it will come, it will go. It will not be permanent. It will be anitya. So then what is the problem? That is what Krishna is explaining. He's saying, but what happens is, we desperately want to hang on. That is attachment. Whenever we have a little bit of pleasure, we want to hang on to it. We want to hold on to it. We just don't want that to go. And vice versa. If we feel any kind of pain, we want to avoid it. We just don't want it to come in our life ever again. Correct? So you see what is happening. What is happening is, on one side, if there is a little bit of happiness, we want it to stay forever. And if it is unhappiness, it should be never. So between this ever and never, we are running. And Krishna says that is the cause of all unhappiness, because neither happiness nor that sadness is going to stay. Neither happiness is permanent nor that sadness is permanent. So where is the problem? Is the problem in sunlight? No. The problem is our own mind. First of all, how our mind interprets this Mata Sparsha. How our mind interprets whenever our senses comes in contact with any sense object, how does the mind interpret that? That determines whether it is going to be pain or pleasure. And then our attachment to that is what creates the actual suffering. Because neither pain nor pleasure is going to stay forever. See, this sloka is very important because this is the beginning of the journey towards what Shri Krishna calls Sthita Pragya, which he says is extremely important for us to succeed. So what is this solution to this problem that we just saw? The solution to the problem of senses coming in contact with sense objects and that creating pleasure or pain, and then we want to get attached to it or we want to have aversion to it, and that causes all the suffering. What is the solution? So Krishna gave the problem statement and Krishna also gives the solution. He says the solution is to develop a state of mind which can have graceful endurance with profound equanimity. So these are all big words, but all he's saying is you should have a calm mind. Your mind has to be calm, equipoised, regardless of what kind of sense objects your senses are coming in contact with. See, it's easier said than done. And so when Krishna says calmness, he's not talking about like, oh, I resign, I give up. That's not the calmness. It's something very active. It's a conscious choice to remain anchored in your true self. So later on, we will read more about this, on how Krishna will call it the yoke of God consciousness. We will come to that. But right now, a good example or a simple example would be a very big, tall oak tree. I don't know how many of you have seen an oak tree. Any tree, any big tree, maybe a banyan tree. If you live in Delhi, then you may have to Google what a tree looks like. So you can just say big tree in Google and it will show you some pictures. If you can imagine a big tree, see how that tree is. When there is sunshine, the leaves glow and the leaves grow. They go more towards the sun. When there is rain, when there is dark clouds, the tree will embrace that also. Do you ever see the tree trying to hide its leaves, when it is sunny, or trying to shield itself when it is rain? And at the same time, when there is a storm, the tree may move, it may shake, some leaves may fall, but the roots of the tree, they keep the tree alive. They keep the tree rooted. So that is the lesson that we have to follow. The lesson is, from a tree's perspective, it makes good of the sunlight also. It makes good of the rain also. The tree benefits from both. It's not impacted. So that is the lesson for us. The lesson is we have to participate in life without getting entangled in it. This particular theme will keep repeating in the Bhagavad Gita, where how you live life. Krishna never says you have to run away to a cave. He never says go sit on some place in Himalayas. He says be in the life, participate in life, enjoy life, but just don't get entangled in it, is the whole message. So a great saint, Swami Chinmayananda, and so this is what he says, that we need to understand that every object is perceived not by the sense organs but through them. Like for example, let us say you want to see the moon more clearly, then you may go get a telescope and you are looking at the telescope. But tell me, is it the telescope that is seeing the moon? No. You are seeing the moon through the telescope. Correct? Just like that, Chinmayananda says, our senses, they themselves are not experiencing anything. They are not perceiving anything. We are perceiving through the senses. Then the question is, okay, then who is the we? And that is the lesson that we learned in the previous session. And that is the lesson we are supposed to realize eventually. That we is that ultimate witness. And that witness cannot be really impacted by anything. Very, very powerful message. So we will slowly chip at it, one lesson at a time, until we get it. So why are we talking about everything is perceived through the senses is because there is a mechanism. Our body is a very complex machine. So the quality of the perception, like you're seeing something, you're hearing something, you're tasting something, touching something. Now, what is the quality of that perception? Because you are perceiving through the senses. So what is the quality of the perception? That depends on the filter being used by the mind. See, it's a very deep science here. So what that means is the same object, the same sense, the same witness, but will not be the same perception. And what determines what the perception is going to be? That is where your mind comes into play. Your mind is like that filter. You're looking at something, your mind comes and puts a green filter. Then suddenly everything looks green. Or someday your mind decides, I'm going to put a red filter. Then everything will look red. But actually it is neither green nor red. You see? Why we are talking about all of this is, Krishna wants us to understand when he says, you need to have calmness of mind, he wants us to also understand why it matters so much. A calm mind is a mind which does not have any filters. A calm mind is a mind that is a pass-through. It is just a witness. And it lets you have the absolute perception without coloring it with our own filters. It's very important because what is our ultimate goal? Ultimate goal is to realize that absolute, that Brahman we want to realize. But will we be able to realize that absolute truth if our mind never lets us see truth the way it is? If the mind is always busy, putting different filters, you see, you will never really see it the way it is. It is really that is why that calmness is important. That is why that samatvam is so important. Now, if you want examples, we can take some simple examples. Like, for example, I can tell you about myself. Like when I was a child, I would absolutely love those roller coasters. I can spend endless hours on a roller coasters and I will always be screaming, more. And but today, I cannot tolerate those roller coasters. I just feel giddy. I'm like, nothing doing. I don't want to sit in the roller coaster. What changed? The same roller coaster, same body, same eyes, same everything. But my perception has changed. Because now my mind tells me, hey, you may not be able to handle it. Or my mind tells me all those different things. It brings in those different filters, and it gives me a different perception now. So just like that, you look at a dog. One person would say, oh, such a cute dog, and they'll start petting it. Whereas one person will get extremely scared. Because their mind is telling them that that dog is dangerous. That mind is telling them that dog is going to, bite you or whatever. See, this is a theme that we need to really introspect on, how there is nothing which is objectively good or objectively bad. This is what some of you may have learned about Shakespeare in your school. And in Shakespeare, there is a play called Hamlet. And in that, the Prince Hamlet, he says, there is nothing either good or bad, but it is thinking that makes it so. A very profound statement. And that's exactly what Krishna is also telling us. He's telling us that it's the mind. It's the mind that makes up all these stories of what is good, what is bad. So be very careful about that. What is the lesson for us? The lesson for us is, if we can learn to manage the mind, then can't we manage the perception? The other famous example many of us give, many of us means people who teach Bhagavad Gita, a lot of us use that example. Like if somebody tells you, you are being punished, go do 10 push-ups. That doesn't feel good at all. It makes you feel pained. It makes you feel, what am I doing? And you are sad and all of that. But the same you, suddenly has this josh that I want to build muscles. I want to become strong. And then you go to a gym, you pay money, and then you do the same 10 push-ups. Now it feels thrilling. But what changed? It was the same you. It was the same 10 push-ups. What changed? In the first instance, your mind was telling you, poor you are getting punished. So bad, so sad. Whereas when you're in the gym, the same mind is telling you, oh, it's going to make you strong. It's going to make you... See the difference? So that is what we need to understand, and that is why mind management is the central theme of Bhagavad Gita. Especially second chapter is full of that. Somyaji, you had some question?
Hare Krishna, Guruji. So, when we are experiencing filters, like first of all, like how to know that we are experiencing filters? Because at any age, let's just say when I was 21, I might have felt something like about cricket, I would have felt very excited, right? And at every age, you think that you have taken all factors into consideration in your thinking process. So, like, how
Yes,
do
yes.
we understand? And at this age, I would think I have taken everything into consideration, but how do I know that I'm putting in filters?
Excellent question. Excellent question. Thank you. I think that is where this whole awareness is important. That is what we discussed in the previous session also. So when you do more of this, see why worry about cricket or anything else? What is your perception about your own self? Who are you? You see, and that is also a filter. Like if you say I'm just a man, or I'm Indian, or I'm from Delhi, or I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm this, I'm that, is it really you? Swami Premanand Maharaj, he gives a very beautiful example. He says, have you seen these people who are driving rickshaws in India? Now you stand and you will just yell, you will say, hey, rickshaw. Or if you are in USA or New York, you will say, hey, taxi. And when you say, hey, taxi, the guy will come to you, right? But is he really a taxi? He's not taxi, but he's identifying with it. That is his mind. So whenever somebody says taxi, a taxi driver identifies with it and he thinks it is him. You are calling him. You see? So the lesson is the same. Our mind is creating all these perceptions. So instead of trying to analyze all the various filters the mind is capable of, that is an open-ended set. The mind can come up with infinite number of lenses and infinite number of filters. But what is better is become an observer and try to get a feel for how it feels. What is the perception when I have lesser and lesser of those filters? And how can you do that? By becoming more and more calm and more steady-minded. And that is the reason why Krishna says samatvam is so important. Because when you have that samatvam, then that awareness will automatically come. So this is the lesson Shri Krishna is giving us here, that a mind that can endure both pleasure and pain calmly, that is a prerequisite for self-realization. Because that is a mind which does not have filters. And you cannot realize that true, absolute truth as long as you have filters. Because as long as you have filter, you will always have a filtered perception. It cannot be the real truth, that ultimate perception. And that is why developing this mind is given so much importance. See, it cannot be done overnight. It's a process. We have to take small steps, but we have to be very consistent. Like I'll give you some practical examples. Let us say it is raining, especially people in Vancouver, they can readily relate with that. Pretty much 8 months a year, it will rain anytime, correct? But you have a choice. Now, do you want to complain about it? Or do you want to appreciate? We can complain, we can say, oh, it's cloudy, it is dull, all the time it's raining, and there are endless complaints that you can hear from people here. Or you can also choose to focus on the benefits of rain. You can say, we live in a rainforest, and no rain, no forest, right? And how rain is beneficial and all of that. But the ultimate Victory comes when you can just be an observer. It's raining. You have observed. Now, don't let that filter come into play. Don't let it either make you feel gloomy, nor should you dance in joy. Can you just observe it's raining without a filter? So like that, small things, like it's a little hot, immediately you are like, oh, it's hot, I need a AC, or it's just a little cold, you're like, no, I need a heater. There is just, no tolerance. But the lesson here is, take a pause, feel the heat, see if you can put up with it without complaining. Just like that, a little bit of cold, take a pause, appreciate it, see if you can put up without complaining. These are the small, everyday practices we can do. I'm not saying if you have a health problem, by all means, go take care of it. But if you are normal, then try to, delay that kind of a reactionary mind, reacting to your mind. Push a little more. And eventually you will reach there. You will reach a place of equanimity. And then in 2.15, this is what Krishna says. Krishna says, he uses a very beautiful word here. He says, Yam hi na vyatayanti ete purusham purusharshaba samaduka sukham dhiram so mrutatvaya kalpate. He says, oh, noblest among men, that person who is not affected by happiness and distress and who remains steady in both becomes eligible for liberation. Here, see, he's again the master psychologist. He is calling Arjuna Purusharshaba, which means the noblest among men. Is he trying to flatter Arjuna? He doesn't have to. Here it is a very strategic act of compassion, where he sees the potential in Arjuna and is addressing Arjuna using such a powerful positive word, saying you are the noblest among men. And that way he is telling Arjuna, that is what you truly are. So you are supposed to now behave like that. He's inspiring Arjuna to rise to the occasion. Such a beautiful way of teaching here. Now there is one question which usually people ask as soon as we finish 2.14 and 2.15. They are like, Guruji, are you saying that we should just become emotionless? Are you saying that, we become dull? And in the last session, somebody asked me that question, so I've noted it down somewhere. Is that what you all believe? Is that what you think you are learning? No, right? So the message here is not that you should not at all feel happy or sad. The message is, don't get hung up on it. Don't get too attached to happiness, and don't develop strong aversion to sadness. They are both parts of life. And they will both pass, agama paino. And they are both anitya. That is what we need to internalize. And that is what it means when they say, participate in life without getting entangled in life. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to feel good. It's also okay to feel bad. But that sense object, that experience is temporary. So should your reaction be too, is the message. And the magic word that you can all use, or the magic sentence that you can all use, in fact, one of my past students, they took a printout of this, they keep it in their desk. How I know is later on they told me that, that one sentence helped me handle corporate nonsense beautifully. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. So that one statement is, even this will pass. Somebody is coming and saying, oh, awesome job, great job, you are doing well, you are doing great. Look at that, even this will pass. Or someday somebody comes and says, I don't think you are doing a good job. I think you are this, I think you are that. Even that will pass. So don't get hung up, don't get too attached. Stay grounded, stay calm. So that is the term used here, Tan Titikshasva. Titiksha, we will read about that now more, but that means just bear everything. Because why? Because they are anitya. That praise is not going to last forever. Neither does that criticism going to last forever. Take it for what it is and move on. So some of you may know this. I hope everybody knows who was Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. He was a very great saint. He was a very great philosopher. He was an Advaita philosopher. And he wrote a very famous work called Viveka Chudamani. You can write it down, and if possible, you can go read that. So Viveka Chudamani is a very beautiful work by Adi Shankara. There in the 24th sloka, he says that the bearing of all afflictions without caring to redress them, being free at the same time from anxiety or self-pity or complaining. This is what is called as titiksha. So that one word means all of that. I hope you understood that. It means don't always be in a reactive mode. You don't have to react to everything. You don't have to react to every impulse. You don't have to react to every sensory input. Okay, as I said, a little bit of hot, a little bit of cold, a little bit of up, a little bit of down. You don't have to react to everything. It's okay. It'll come, it'll go. And don't get into either anxiety or self-pity or complaining. Why does it happen to me? I'm such a great guy. I did only good things. I did good for everybody. You see the problem, right? So that is what, somebody comes and tells you something. They will come and tell you like something harsh. In one of my previous sessions, one member was visibly disturbed, and so I had to pause the session and I had to ask them, what is bothering you? Like, what's going on? Because their video was on and they were very disturbed, and wiping their eyes, they were telling me that, my brother's son, whatever, I forgot the name of the relationship, but my brother's son, they said, he called me something like selfish or something, and I said, oh, okay, when did that happen? When did he say that? He said that, when we were celebrating the birthday of my son. I said, okay, when was that? And apparently it was a month ago. And I'm like, do you think that niece even remembers what they told you? I mean, usko bolna tha, bol ke nikal gaya. I mean, the person who told you something harsh has said it and they have moved on. Why are you still hung up? Why are you still so attached to that something that happened such a long time ago? So you feeling self-pity, you feeling sad, it's not because of what they said. It is because of how you are reacting. You are now holding on to it. You don't want to let go of it. And you are letting that dictate how you feel. That the problem is with us, right? And that is the whole message here. One of my most favorite quotes of all times is the one by a person called Reynold Niebuhr. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Grant me the courage to change the things that I can. And grant me the wisdom to know the difference. If there is something which is beyond your control, just accept it. There is no point complaining. Like it is sunny right now. Can you control the sun? You cannot. Accept it. There is no point feeling sad that it is sunny. You see, it's pointless. Accept it. And if there is something that you think you can change it. Like, can you hold an umbrella? You can. Go ahead, do that. Okay, and give me the wisdom to know the difference. Otherwise, let me understand what is it that is beyond my control and what is within my control. See, that's very important. Usually the question that comes is, are you saying that doesn't matter if something good is happening or something bad is happening? Are you saying that I will just have a poker face and I'm not? So that is not the message. The message is about detachment. The message is not about indifference. Like somebody is in pain, by all means you should feel the pain, go help the person. But once you have done what you need to do, once you have helped him or her to the best of your abilities, then detach. There is no point for 3 months I'm feeling sad because that day that person was suffering. That doesn't help that person, that doesn't help you. See, that is the message. See, this is one of the messages given by the great saint of Shirdi, Sai Baba also. He used a very simple language for all his teachings. So he said Shraddha or Saburi. So what is that Saburi? Shraddha means faith. But what is Saburi? Saburi is this patience. Patience means what? I'm suffering, but okay, I'll wait for some more time. I'm suffering, but I'm still going to wait for. No, that is not patience. Saburi means it is perseverance. You are not suffering. you know. That is what Saburi actually means. Saburi means you have faith that whatever is my situation, if it is not good, it is temporary. And I have faith that the Lord will help. I have faith that the divinity will help me. With that faith, when you carry on, that is Saburi. That is what here Shankaracharya calls us Titiksha. And that is what Shri Krishna says you should have Samatvam. You see, very, very beautiful lessons. Lord Buddha is also saying something very similar. Buddha is saying that we should have equanimity of mind to protect us from 8 worldly winds. See, this is what I like about Buddha's teachings is Buddha tries to categorize things very well. Like everything will be well defined. So for example, here Buddha, he has categorized, these ups and downs into 8 worldly winds. What are those 8 worldly winds? He calls out. The first pair is praise and blame. Second is success and failure. The third is pleasure and pain. And the fourth pair is fame and disrepute. So 4 pairs of positive negatives, that makes it 8. And that's what Buddha calls as 8 worldly winds. And so Buddha says that it is only the equanimity of mind that can protect us from these 8 worldly winds. If you see, Buddha is not just saying protecting you from negative things. Buddha is saying even positive things. Because something positive is happening and if you are overly attached to it, it will become painful in future. As I said, if you really want a sunny day and today it is sunny, good, enjoy the sunlight. But you get attached to it. Tomorrow when it rains, you're going to feel sad. Oh, it's no longer sunny. I'm giving a very simple example, but if you look back at your own lives, you will see that almost always your pain has been either something good did not last or something bad happened that you did not want to happen. Is that not true? And that's what Buddha is also saying. And how do you get out of this situation is that equanimity of mind. Don't be too attached. So when you cultivate such a calm and balanced mind, then we will be able to realize that our sense of inner well-being is independent of the 8 winds. Our sense of inner well-being is independent of any external occurrence. That is the realization we should get to. That is true freedom. When we say freedom, we think freedom means I can eat anytime, I can eat pizza every day, I can do this, I can do that. But the real freedom is this. The real freedom is no matter what is happening outside of me, my reality does not change. The reality of who I truly am will never change. If you can realize that, you get absolute freedom. That freedom is what is called as liberation. Beautiful, isn't it? That brings us to Pragma 2. The Pragma 2 says, a calm mind is essential for liberation. So, learn to handle pain and pleasure calmly. Please keep in mind, a calm mind is essential not just for feeling happy or anything. Krishna clearly says that a calm mind is essential for liberation. So if any of us here think we need moksha, that we don't want to again come into this life and again go through all these pains, if that is our goal, then the starting point is invest in your mind. Make sure that you are able to practice that calmness of mind. That is a prerequisite. No other lesson that follows will really make sense. No other lesson that follows will really help us otherwise. So Krishna continues. 2.16, Krishna will use the words Sat and Asat. Very, very powerful words here. I mean, there is only so much that we can translate in English. The English language is limited in such spiritual concepts. Sat and Asat doesn't really translate to just true and not true. They are more like real and not real. In Sankhya philosophy, I hope you all remember that this chapter is Sankhya Yoga. So in Sankhya philosophy, Sat is termed as the cause and Asat is termed as the effect. So in Western philosophy, they call everything as cause and effect. In Sankhya philosophy, we call it Sat and Asat. So the cause is the Sat and the effect is Asat. The Sat is absolute truth, the eternal Lord. The Sat is responsible for everything in the material universe. So the Sat is never changing, whereas Asat is ever changing. The Asat will always change, the Sat will never change. Now we just discussed our physical body, even modern medicine proves it. Our physical body is always changing. Now you see, by this definition, now you will automatically say that is why the body is Asat. Because that is the Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya says that which is ever changing is Asat. That is why we say you're not your body. Some of you may know about the Guru Granth Sahib, which is the holy book of the Sikhs. There is a very beautiful verse. It says, Aad sach jugad sach, he bhi sach nanak hosi bhi sach. So that's what it means. It says, true in the primal beginning, true throughout the ages, true here and now, O Nanak, forever and ever true. That is the nature of Sat. So that shloka is talking about what is Sat. When it comes to Asat, more than 2500 years ago, the Greek philosopher, his name is Heraclitus, he famously said, no man ever steps in the same river twice, because it's no longer the same river and it is no longer the same man. Very profound, very deep. That is Asat. So if you want to summarize this in one sentence, we can just say that whatever changes cannot be the truth. Isn't it logical? Because you will say something and you will say it is the truth, but tomorrow it has already changed. So how can it still be the truth? It is not truth anymore, right? The very important point is the word Tattvadarshibi, which means knower of the nature of soul. It's there is so many profound truths here. I will admit that sometimes I struggle to translate things without making them complicated. I have to simplify it without losing the essence. So I'm trying my best. So here the use of the term Tattvadarshibi is so important, because Krishna is saying knower of the nature of the soul. There he is using the word Tattvam. Tattvam in Sanskrit means the nature, the true nature of a thing. How do you contrast it? You can contrast, if you want to use a contrasting word, the contrasting word will be Matham. So in Sanskrit, Tattvam is one word and Matham is another word. Tattvam means the true nature. Matham means opinion. Matham means, like Someji had this question, how do I know I have a filter? Anytime you say, in my opinion, that is a filter. Because an opinion is always something that comes through your lens. Whereas Tattvam is the truth. So why I'm emphasizing this is Krishna is here in this, when he's teaching us this, he's saying that Arjuna, this is not my opinion. This is not my Matham. This is Tattvam. This is the absolute truth. This is reality. So what is the need for saying this? So that we can develop a deep conviction in these teachings. So that we know that it is not just somebody's opinion, but it is the truth. And because it is the truth, we need to follow it with conviction. Okay. And then we come to this other topic of today, which is the goal of the soul. Many times I watch these debates between believers and atheists, and there is this debate which keeps coming, recurring, about people debating why do you say I'm not the body? Because that is the only thing I can see, that is the only thing I can touch, that's the only thing I can perceive. And you are saying I'm not that. It feels very contradictory. Is how these atheists, materialists, they kind of have this argument. And so their argument is, whatever you can actually see and touch, you are saying I'm not that, and you are saying I'm something that I cannot see or touch. It is not making sense, is their argument. But it's very easy to counter that argument, because as we already saw, the body is ever changing, and something that changes cannot be the truth. So that is a logical way of explaining. But there is, if you want a more objective way of explaining, Aristotle said very famously that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Now, what does he mean by that? It's simple and profound at the same time. See, you can do a Google search on this. Somebody in the USA, they did a detailed analysis of all the chemicals and all the substances, components that an average human body is made up of. Like, they broke it down into how much of carbon, and how much of calcium, and how much of this and how much of that. So they try to catalog everything that a human body consists of, and how much quantity they have. And the surprising part was, then they kind of tried to find how much it will all cost if they had to go buy it. Okay, for example, your body has X kilogram of calcium, let us say, and X kilogram of sodium. I'm just making up numbers. Now they said, okay, this is the constitution of my body. This is all it has. Now, if I have to go buy all of these chemicals and substances, they said, looks like I can get all of it in like $50. But if somebody comes and tells you that you are worth only $50, how would you feel? Would it align with you? But that is an objective truth. Like, what are you? If you say I am my body, then go create a catalog of everything that consists of your body, comprises of your body. How much of minerals, how much of water, how much of all of that. And then put a price on that. And then ask yourself, am I worth $50 or am I worth only $100? You are not. That is what is the meaning of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So although you are all made up of all of these materials, you are much bigger, much more precious than the sum of all your body parts. So many different ways of trying to arrive at the same truth, because that truth is so profound that we cannot theorize it completely. And there are some calculations given. Of course, this is from a Sankhya philosophy. And also there is an Upanishad called Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Feel free to go read it up. I will even give you the sloka numbers. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 5.9 and 5.10. There they talk about the objective aspects of the soul. There they will say that our soul is as subtle as the tip of a hair that is divided and subdivided thousands of times. Yet, it is potentially infinite. Can we comprehend this? So physically, it is infinitesimally small. At the same time, it is infinitely superior, infinitely. So how can we cannot, right? That is the challenge. We cannot really theorize it. And also there is another Upanishad called Mandukya Upanishad. There the sloka is 3.1.9. And there it says, the soul is atomic in size and it can be perceived by perfect intelligence. And this atomic soul, I think in the previous session, I don't know if Smita ji is here, Smita Subandh. She's there? Okay. Because I remember in the previous batch, she asked me about this types of air, prana, apana, vyana. And so that is why I included this shloka in this session. So in the Mandukya Upanishad 3.1.9, it says that the soul is atomic in size and it can be perceived by perfect intelligence. And this atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of prana, air. And what are those 5 kinds of air? Prana, apana, vyana, samana and udana. And although it is situated within the heart, it spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. Now, we can keep, if we choose to go deeper into these aspects, it's enormous. I mean, we can keep going deeper and deeper, and it will get more and more complicated. But at this time, all we need to understand is, if we try to perceive it physically, it is very, very, very hard, if not impossible, because it is infinitesimally small. But once we realize it through our intelligence and perception, then we realize that it is actually infinitely vast and infinitely powerful. So the Sankhya way, the Sankhya lesson is, when the soul is purified from the contamination of these 5 kinds of airs, then we can perceive the spiritual influence. As I'm saying, you can approach it from many different ways. So if you want to follow the path of Sankhya, if you want to follow the path of objective analysis, that is Jnana Yoga, is very, very, very difficult. It's very hard. But it is always good to also know what Jnana Yoga tells, what Jnana Yoga talks about the nature of the soul and all of that. But this whole idea of realizing that soul is the goal of all the yogas. And that is why, another reason why every chapter in the Bhagavad Gita is some yoga. Because first, it has to be practiced, it has to be internalized. And second, all the chapters, they are all pointing us towards that union with that Supreme, that realization of that Supreme Soul. That is the goal of every lesson in the Bhagavad Gita. So with this kind of profound teaching and profound understanding of the soul's indestructible nature, see, do you think now this answers Arjuna's questions? He was asking about, that is my relative, that is my friend. So first of all, the attachment part is taken care of. Then he's talking about, how can I kill this person? How can I kill that person? But Krishna says, but you are not your body. You are the soul. And how your soul can never be destroyed. So on and so forth. So if you see, even until 2.17, Krishna has pretty much answered most of the questions Arjuna had. Arjuna had objective questions and Krishna has given objective answers. And one other thing I want to also point out is, Krishna is telling Arjuna, go and fight for dharma, but the word fight is not just physical combat. Krishna is talking about the inner battle that we all have to wage. Krishna is talking about, and what kind of battles we are waging internally? Battle against ignorance, battle against illusions, attachments. We have to wage that war. We cannot stop until we win. So we need faith and we need conviction. So as you can see, Krishna's message is liberating also, it is empowering also, because Krishna has said the soul cannot be destroyed, and he has also said all the material circumstances, they are temporary. So we have to act with courage, we have to act with conviction, because that is what is aligned with truth and righteousness. So don't let any fear paralyze you. Don't be afraid of losing anything, because what we truly are is beyond all loss. Any loss is perceived loss only. There is no absolute real loss. That is why, there are some acharyas who will say that one of the key lessons of Bhagavad Gita is, what did you bring with you that you are going to mourn for? Like, what is yours? You didn't come with anything. So that is the lesson also here. Like, don't grieve for anything. You cannot lose anything because you are beyond all of that. So if we can really internalize these teachings, that will totally transform our relationship with life. And that is the goal. Because instead of being victims of circumstances, we transform into conscious participants and observers. And we choose to be rooted in our eternal nature instead of being hung up on these temporary losses and gains. And we learn to hold our identities lightly while taking the responsibilities seriously. Most of our life, we do the opposite. For us, our identity is very serious. We are very, I am this, I am that. But our responsibilities, humko pata nahi, we don't know. You remember the famous speech given by Kennedy? He said, "Don't ask what the country can do for you, but ask what you can do for the country." Just like that, we are all about my rights. Everybody knows what they're, but if somebody asks you what are your responsibilities, it is not easy for everybody to list it down quickly. So that is a transformation that will happen where we will not take our identities that seriously, but we will take our responsibilities very seriously. This is the art of participating fully in life while remaining unattached to outcomes. This way, we can serve others without losing ourselves. We can pursue goals without being defined by success or failure. See, that is the beautiful concluding message for this section of the Bhagavad Gita. Did anybody have any questions or comments before we go to the next part? So we had a poll, and the absolute majority said they would like a meditation. So I have created a meditation for helping us, develop that samatvam. But before we go to that meditation, I just want to know if anybody had any questions or any doubts that they would like to be addressed. Okay, we again have Soumyaji. Okay.
Sorry, Guruji, I have a question again.
No need to be sorry. Yeah, please
Okay,
feel
so
free.
yeah, I had this exact same question, and you have addressed it, and I have a follow-up question based on identity. So,
Mhm.
our whole life is a construct around identity of one or another form, right? We have multiple identities, like I am, let's just say, I'm an Indian, or I am a Hindu, or I'm this, I'm that, and all the auxiliary identities. So, is there like a process or like something we can follow so that we can like start to alienate ourselves or detach ourselves on with identities rather than just dropping them all at once?
Yeah. So that is the stepwise process. One is Samadarshanaha that we discussed earlier,
Okay.
where we need to, if you approach it from a bhakti perspective, then we need to have the faith and we need to learn to see that divine spark in everything. So you may be an Indian, I may be a Canadian, someone else may be an American, but that is all facade. That is all, asat. What is Sat? Is I am a spark of the divine, you are a spark of the same divine. So if you have that faith, that will come gradually. You will start. So the day you can just see a spark of divine and nothing else, then you have reached that goal of completely overcoming these false identities that have been created. But if you want to follow the path of jnana, then you do the practice of neti that we discussed, where you do self introspection. Ask yourself, am I this hand? Am I this leg? Am I this eyes? Am I these ears? And you have to repeat, you have to introspect deeply, 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 until it becomes evident to you, I have to be something higher than all of that. And once that answer becomes internalized, then that truth will apply to everybody else around you. So you will automatically, get out of these constraints. These are all like materialistic constraints. You see, the world is called as mithya. The world is also called as a place of sorrow, dukhalayam. Why? That dukhalayam is a result of these false identities only. And how do you liberate yourself from this dukhalayam? How do you liberate yourself from this pain? Is by attaching yourself to the true identity. So it is not that you will no longer have any identity. The choice is false identity versus true identity. See, even in our own sections, right? You are a very socially active person, and we know that a lot of people have Gujarati groups and Marathi groups and Hyderabadi groups, and I see this recurring theme where somebody will come and say, "Why can't we all say we are Indians? Why do we have to say we are Gujaratis and Hyderabadis?" Right? But then why do you stop there? Fit the curve, take it further and say, why just Indians? Why can't we say we are humans? And like that, if you keep progressing, eventually you will say, why can't we just say we are all sparks of the same divinity. That is the ultimate goal. I hope that kind of answers your questions. And it can't happen overnight. It's a long process, but Krishna has given us the manual for how to go through it step by step.
Okay. And again, like not a follow-up question, but a question on a different concept, which is like, spiritually speaking, would the sentence "change is the only constant in life" be incorrect? Because if something is changing, that is asat, and life is not asat, right?
Correct. That is whatever we learn today is that change is the only constant. Basically means asat is ever changing. So if you can see it, touch it, smell it, see, the atheist will say, how can I believe something that I cannot see, touch, smell? Whereas the Vedanta folks will say, if you can see, if you can touch, if you can smell, then it is not real. Then it is not Sat. Because everything that we can, everything that the senses can perceive, the senses are manifested entities. So they can only perceive things that are manifested. And anything which is manifested is part of the same game of Maya, which is all Asat. And because it is Asat, it will be ever changing. That is what is meant by change is the only constant. And what doesn't change is what we need to introspect. It is what we need to realize. Because that which never changes cannot be theorized. It can only be realized. And that is the goal of all the yoga. Doesn't matter which yoga we follow.
Okay. Dhanyavad Guruji. Thank you.
No, you're most welcome, and don't worry about questions. Chitraji, you had a question?
Yes, Guruji, Hare Krishna. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to point out the way Krishna addresses Arjuna as the noblest of all the men. It reminded me of something what he said earlier, that this is not you. How he
it does not
means
suit you.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
It just reminded me that.
Yes, very true. That is Krishna's way of, he is not condemning Arjuna at any time. He's shaking him up, but it is always a language of encouragement. But if you look at Vedanta pretty much is that only. That is the same way Vedanta teaches us, right? If you look at the Mahavakyas, and the most famous are Tattvamasi, or Aham Brahmasmi. So Vedanta says the same thing. They say you are infinite. You are a spark of that God. So they tell you what you are, and they encourage you to reach that realization. They don't condemn you and say that you are a sinner, you are insignificant, you are worthless. That's not Vedanta. Vedanta is a very empowering way of teaching. And that is the same thing that Krishna is also doing here. That is why Bhagavad Gita is considered Vedanta only. Part of Vedanta. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay. We have one more from, Sulataji. It's the last question, and then we will start the meditation.
Yeah. When we let everything impact us, we are giving the control to the external circumstances that affect us. So it's like, getting identified with the body, like we will be disturbed without a calm mind, and we will be conditioned, like, we will not be able to realize how empowered we are and the true nature of the self, which will make us, get through our limitations. So
is there a question there, or are you?
No, it's not a question. I'm just trying to realize when you said divinity. So it will, it's like the elephant, which, is trained from the childhood, which is tied to the pole, and it forgets that its real strength to break through that chain and go ahead. So we will be limited with our
Got it. If I understand correctly, what you are saying is we should always be aware and mindful of who we truly are. And once we are in that mindset of always being aware of who we truly are, then these small things will not bother us or impact us. It's beautiful, wonderful. So I think we are almost on time. If there are any other questions, can we please put it in the parking lot, and then we can revisit them later. And based on your request, I have created a meditation. This meditation will help us maintain that calmness of mind. This meditation will help us reach that state of samatvam. So I can give a short 2-minute break. So that a lot of people have been sitting here for a while. You can take a quick 2-minute break, bio break, freshen up or whatever, and we will come back. So right now it is 8:54. So we will come back at 8:56 and I'll start the meditation at that time. Okay, Hare Krishna. I hope everybody is back. Whoever is not here, please raise your hands. At least you're paying attention. So. Okay, are you all ready then? Ready for this beautiful meditation? So this meditation I'm calling as the Titiksha, inner calmness meditation, which will help us eventually reach the stage of Samatvam. Okay, so with that, I'll start the meditation. It's going to be around 13 minutes. So hope you all make the most of it. Hare Krishna, everybody. This is Krishna Dasa from pragmaticgita.com. I welcome you all to this guided meditation. This meditation is for cultivating samatvam or equanimity and calmness of mind, regardless of what life situations we face. So let us begin by finding a posture that feels relaxed and comfortable. It's okay if you want to sit on a chair or if you want to sit on the floor, that's fine too. Please just avoid any surface that's too soft, like a bed, because that will not let you be steady. Keep your spine straight. Rest your hands gently on your lap. And when you are ready, gently close your eyes. Now take a moment just to relax and become present. Present in this space, in this body, in this present moment. The world outside, with all its demands and noises, it can wait. For the next few minutes, you are offering yourself the gift of stillness and the gift of calmness. Now let us prepare ourselves through the Soham breathing meditation. The idea is to bring your awareness and to be mindful of your breathing. The technique is simple. When you inhale, you will say so, and you will feel the air traveling from your nostrils to your throat, through your chest, and finally resting inside your expanding belly. And as you exhale, you will silently utter the mantra hum, feeling the air travel back from your contracting belly, through your chest, through your throat, and out through your nostrils. When you exhale, along with the air, you will be releasing everything that you are holding on to in your mind. So let's do this a couple of times. Breathe in, so. Breathe out, Breathe in, so. Breathe out, time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now your body will automatically get into a gentle rhythm of breathing. Let it flow. Don't force it. Let your body continue to breathe in a normal, gentle rhythm while you reflect on this key message that Shri Krishna reveals about the nature of our suffering and the nature of all our experiences. He says, Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama payino anitya tantitikshasva bharata. With a lot of divine insight, Shri Krishna reveals the very mechanism of our suffering. He explains that the world we experience is a constant stream of matra sparsha, which is the contact between our senses and their objects. And these experiences are always temporary. They come and they go. Agama apayino. And they are temporary. Anitya. Our senses are constantly interacting with the world, creating a stream of experiences. Recall a time when you felt the warmth of the sun on your skin. You can feel that warmth now. You can experience it. Now remember how that feeling went away after some time. Just like it is leaving you now. Release that feeling of warmth. Now recall a time when the sky was full of dark clouds, about to rain, and you felt the chillness of a sudden cold breeze. Now remember how that feeling went away after some time, just like it's leaving you now. Release that feeling of chillness now. Now recall a time when someone spoke harshly or criticized you. You can feel the discomfort even now. Now let it go. Let go of any feeling of discomfort. Now recall a time when someone praised you or said something nice to you. You can feel the pleasant feeling. Now let it go. Let go of that pleasant feeling. As you can see, these experiences appear and they disappear, which means they are fundamentally impermanent. Realize that we feel disappointment only when we seek lasting happiness in things that cannot last. And we also hold on to pain that cannot last either. Everything that our senses come into contact with is destined to change. In this moment, you will realize that your real struggle is not with the world itself, but with your desperate attempt to hold on to the pleasant moments and to frantically push away the unpleasant ones. To help deepen this understanding, imagine yourself to be a big, strong tree. Imagine the deep roots firmly planted in the earth. Those roots symbolize your connection to your true unchanging self. Imagine a beautiful sunny day. A gentle warmth spreads through your branches. This is a moment of success, of praise, of pleasure. Feel it fully. Be mindful. Be aware. Notice the temptation to cling on to this feeling of pleasantness. The temptation or the feeling that this should last forever. But you know, as the tree, you simply feel the warmth, knowing that the weather will eventually change. You don't try to hold on to the sun. Now imagine the sky darkens and a cold rain begins to fall. This is a moment of difficulty, of blame, or of failure. Acknowledge this feeling of discomfort. Notice the impulse to resist it, to wish that it will go away. But as the tree, you do not fight the rain. You allow it to wash over you, knowing that your essential nature, your deep-rooted strength, is untouched by the passing storm. Tell yourself, this too shall pass. This is the practice of titiksha, a graceful, patient endurance, a wise acceptance of life's natural flow. Now gently shift your perspective. You are not just the tree, you are also the vast, silent, and ever-present earth that holds the tree. You are also the sky that holds the sun and the storm clouds. Now again, perform the Soham breathing. Now affirm yourself. I am that which is aware, that which is unchanging. This awareness is your true essence. Shri Krishna calls it Sat, that which is real, eternal, never changing. Now gently allow your breathing to return to its own natural rhythm. Observe it for a moment without any effort. Feel the calmness you have generated. You have touched upon a deep well of peace that exists within you, which is independent of external circumstances. This is the art of equanimity. If you can remain calm and steady like this, through both happiness and distress, Shri Krishna says you become eligible for liberation. Now carry this sense of inner calmness and stability with you as you return to your day. Remember the wisdom of the strong tree and the vastness of the sky. When you are ready, you can gently open your eyes. This ends the meditation. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hope you are able to follow. And I will also give you this meditation separately. And you can practice as much as you can. I welcome your comments, inputs, on how we can do better. Please feel free to let me know. If you like it, if you would like to see some changes, if you like anything better, please let me know. Okay, then, Hare Krishna. With that, we can conclude today's session and looking forward to seeing you all in the next session. Take care and stay calm. Hare Krishna.